Okay, so we are going to go ahead and take a look at Google Sites and try to expose some of the controls that that you could be using. So first we're going to go to More, and then we're going to go to Even More in case it's kind of hidden there. Then we're going to go Control F for Find, and we're going to click Sites. Okay, and that's going to take us right down to Sites right here. It's under Home and Office right now. Of course, this can change at any time, and it does. Google services are fluid, to say the least. That means that in 6 months it's going to be somewhere completely different. It's going to be under a different name, and half the stuff that you made won't work anymore in 6 months. So, but that's just kind of the way Google is, and I'm not sure why that is. So, anywho, let me stop commenting on Google. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click Sites, because Sites is really a great service that Google provides for free, which is great. Okay, so and we're going to go in, and I'm going to run through how to use Sites based upon a blank site and also based upon a site that I've already created. So first of all, we're going to create a new site. So on the left here, we click Create. It's very, very, very simple. Okay, we're going to name our new site. I'm going to name mine Sample. Okay, Sample Site. Okay, and we can actually browse the gallery for more templates, or you can just go with a blank template. And they have this kind of nice modal pop-up that comes up here. Their templates are pretty good, pretty extensive. Let's go with this professional template. Okay, and we're going to go click Select. Okay, and then we get to choose a site location. Now, obviously, because this site location is https://sites.google.com/site and then sample, obviously that's not going to be available, right? Okay, so we're going to put in tutorial-sample. Let's see if that works. And then we're going to fill in our letters. Okay, we can also select a theme. We can also select more options. Okay, we're not going to do that right now. We can put in a site description now. Okay. Of course, we're not going to do it's for adults because it's not. Okay, let's see how it worked. Okay, so obviously the location is not available, so this has to be a unique URL. Let's try class tutorial sample again. Okay, so it looks like that worked. Now we're into the actual site. So this stuff here, so we come out to the main page here, and what we have at this point is basically the page kind of how it's going to be viewed. Now there are just a couple ways that we can interact with this at this point. Okay, we can go to edit the page. That means to edit the page it's on. So let's go ahead and click that. Okay, and that loads the page editor, right? Okay, now we have kind of these boxes. Now, the way that you add and edit content here on Google is a little bit odd. So basically, each one of these boxes is a content item. Okay, if it's text, I can edit directly. If it's something else, I click on it, and notice I get this little bar down below it. So let's take a look at this first thing right here. So this grass here that's right here. We click on it. It looks like this is an image, so we can click the X to remove it, but we want to leave it for now. The Adsense banner down here. Notice that in cases where the thing on the page has some properties or something that you can set, we get this little cog. Okay, so we click the cog. Basically, this comes up with any settings that you can have for the item. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead. So if we want to insert something, basically if we click on the Insert tab, we have all these different things that we can insert into the document here. So this into the web page, basically. Okay, so a lot of these have to do with the actual Google apps. So like Document, Spreadsheet Form, Picasa, and then the video is YouTube. So these are basically all the different Google web products that you can put into your web page. Okay, the most interesting thing here, you can explore these on your own, but the most interesting thing here is the app script gadget. Okay, so an app script gadget, basically these are scripts that you've written yourself that you can add into the web page. So that's probably the most interesting one there on insert. On the left-hand side here, we have kind of your standard HTML stuff like an image, a link, table of contents, let's like a bulleted list, a subpage listing, a +1 button. Okay, then we have gadgets like a text box, HTML box. You can also click more gadgets. Okay, so these are all things that you can experiment with putting them into your page. Then we go to format. This is actually some text. So if we go to the format tab, basically what I'm doing is I'm selecting some kind of text. I'm formatting it as a heading, a subheading, minor heading. Those are like different sizes of text. Normal paragraph text, and then strike through, superscript, subscript. And then I can also align the paragraph how I see fit. Okay. The next one here is table. Okay, so a lot of when you're designing a web page, a lot of the structure on a web page, like the way the content is organized, in the past has been done with tables. And it looks like to keep things simple on Google Sites, they've really used the table concept here as well. Now in modern web design, you really wouldn't use tables. You'd use a CSS layout combined with a div with layers. So you'd use CSS and layers combined to get your kind of layout of things on the screen, but in this case you can use tables pretty well. So you can insert tables, and then you can format those tables to hold your content where you want it. Okay, so tables are very interesting. Also, you can change your layout of the screen. So look, for example, if I switch to a 2-column layout, notice that changes the layout of the entire page. Okay, to a 2-column layout. So these layouts are like what is going on the page itself. Okay, so I just switched back there. All right, so that's the basic editing of the main home screen. The one other interesting thing we can do here is we can actually click the HTML. And interestingly enough, this is for each of these sections. So if I click into a section like here, this lorem ipsum text. Okay, notice that I get in there and I can actually start to edit. This is the HTML for the page. So you notice that lorem ipsum text is right here. And notice it's being held inside of a span tag, which is fine. You can go in and edit some of the stuff. It is limiting though, so don't do anything that you don't know about, because it will strip out any kind of like other tags. So it has a set of tags that it's looking for. Anything beyond that, it just strips it out when you go back from your HTML view. Okay, so that's the page editing. So let's go ahead and click cancel. Now we're going to look at other parts of the site. So if I want to add a new page, let's say I want to add a new page. The name of my new page is contact. Okay, and basically I can choose these templates. Okay, these are templates that we'll look at later. Okay, in this case we just want to use a web page template. We want to put it under the top level. Okay, this select a location. This actually is going to basically describe to Google Sites how you want your navigation to work. So if you start to put it under home, okay, so basically notice that it defines where in your directory structure. So notice if I put it at the top level, it's in this class tutorial sample folder. Okay, but if I put it under home, then it's under a folder called home. Okay, so that can make a big difference just in how you want your site structured. Okay, so for now we're just going to put it at the top level and go ahead and click create. Okay, so there we have an additional page now. Notice that it didn't add it to the main. Excuse me, it didn't add my page to my main navigation here, which is interesting. That's probably one of the settings that was with our template. Okay, if we go ahead and click save. Okay, so that's our contact information there. Okay, but notice that no page was added to the main navigation. Okay, so we've kind of covered our two buttons there, the edit page and the new page. Now let's go to this more menu. Okay, so now everything else, all other stuff that you can do in the site is contained inside this more menu. So editing a page, creating a new page are buttons. Everything else is in this more menu. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. First we have page actions, revision history, that's fine. Subscribe to page changes, so that means it'll send you an email every time somebody changes the page. Page settings, we're going to go there in just a minute. print page, move page, delete page, preview page as viewer. Okay, that's an interesting one because you can preview as somebody coming in. Let's go ahead and take a look at page settings. Okay, so page settings is a one you're going to need to check for each page on your site. So the page settings, basically you can show page title, links to subpages, allow attachments, and allow comments. Now this is one you're probably going to want to turn off for most pages. Allow attachments and allow comments allows somebody who's signed in to like upload files to the page you're working on, as well as make comments on the page, which is great for some types of sites. For others, you might not want to allow it. But so this gets into kind of the oddness of Google Sites. Basically, some of the functionality is located in kind of very odd places. So for some reason, you know, attachments is not under insert as like a gadget. It's here in page settings and is automatically turned on for all pages, and you have to go into page settings to turn it off. So it's kind of an interesting way that they've set it up here. So this is page settings. You're going to want to check it for each page. Okay, let's go back to the More menu. Okay. Now page templates we're not going to go into right now, but you can save the page as a template. Say you want to make a lot of pages that look exactly the same. You can save a page as a template, and then you can you can save the page as a template, and then you can use that as a blank page every time you want to create a new page, which is pretty useful, you know. But the one thing that you want to be careful of is that page templates don't update automatically. So it's not a situation where you can like set up a bunch of stuff and then if you change it one place, it will change it many places. So if you change it on your template, it would change it everywhere the template is used. That is not the case. It's just a copy of a page that can be reused to start new pages. Okay. All right, let's go down here. So now we have this section. So we had the section page actions. Now we have the section site actions. Okay, so subscribe to site changes. That means it'll email you every time the site is changed. Edit site layout. Okay, so that is the next thing we're going to go to. Sign up for AdSense. That means if you want to put advertisements on your website, and then sharing and permissions we'll go to as well. Okay, so these three pages is edit site layout, manage site, and sharing and permissions are really important areas. So let's go to edit site layout. Okay, so on edit site layout, what we have here is we have the ability on these buttons at the top to turn things on and off. Okay, so I can turn on the sidebar. Notice it's saving. Okay, so now the sidebar is on. I can turn on the header. Okay, now the header is on. So the header is something that will appear on every single page of the site. Okay, so I'm in edit site layout, and I can turn on the header. I can turn on the sidebar. Notice that in the navigation here, it's kind of interesting, right? Okay, so the navigation is right here. Okay, so if we want to edit the header, let's say, we would click on the header, okay, and we would say height. We can set the height of the header. We can set if there's a logo or not. We can also add a logo to the site. So in that header, say if you wanted a custom logo to appear on every page, that's where we'd go get that image file and put a logo at the top of the page. You can also select the alignment. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. So then we can do the same thing for every part. So we just would click on that. Oops. Turn it on back on the horizontal navigation here. Okay. We can click on the horizontal navigation. Now notice this is where we go ahead and we can actually add and delete pages. So remember that we added that page contact. Okay, here is where we would actually add it to the navigation. So we click add page, we click on contact, and then we click OK. Then we click OK again. And notice that now contact has been added to this horizontal navigation. Okay, so this is where we'd actually come in and change the links that appear on every page of the site. Okay, this is site layout again. All right, now we can actually change the style to boxes, tabs. So we click on tabs. Okay, so notice now there are tabs appearing at the top. So this horizontal navigation is a pretty powerful area that you can do. Now let's take a look at the sidebar. Okay, so we go ahead and click on the sidebar. The sidebar is kind of an odd area. You can add things to the sidebar, which is odd. So we can actually click on edit for sidebar. Okay, we can say whether it's displayed on the left or right. Okay, we're going to leave it on the left. Then, interesting enough, the navigation, we can actually click on that to edit the navigation. So for now this theme had the sidebar turned off, so it's automatically organizing navigation. We're going to turn it back off so we can leave it there. If we wanted to uncheck that, we do the same thing as the horizontal navigation. We just be adding pages as we go. So we can click OK. We're going to turn back off the sidebar. We're going to turn back off the header. And then this page has a custom footer. Okay, and we can turn that off to see where it is. Okay, so notice when we turn it back on, we get this kind of text down here. And we can change that to see the site designed by ARC Templates. Okay, so that's the company that has made this template. It's kind of fun. You can make your own template and publish it, which is fine. Okay, we can also edit the system footer. So if we don't want this Google Sites footer, we can click on click on it, and we can do the hide all the different stuff that we want. Let's say we want to hide all this stuff. See how much we can hide. Obviously, they don't let you remove powered by Google Sites or remove access or report abuse, because that's the way somebody visiting your site would report you to Google. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to actually remove the custom footer here too, because even though we're thankful to ARC templates. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and close. All right, so now we're back to our site. The only thing we really did was change these tabs here to tabs. All right, and we're going to go to More, and then we're going to go back into the More menu. So we did Edit Site Layout. Now we're going to go to Sharing and Permissions. Okay, now this is where things can get pretty interesting. So these are kind of granular. So we can make the whole site the same, and we can also change who can access it. So who has access? Public. So we can click this, and we can change it to public on the web. Anyone with a link can view it. Okay. And then we can click Save. We can also go up to this button that says Enable Page Level Permissions. Okay, and this is not something you probably want to do to get started. This would be an example if you want to put some private information on one page but allow people to access everything else. Then you would turn on page level permissions. You could say, oh, only these certain users have access to this particular page. So this is a way you can control security on your site at the page level. So one page is public, everyone can see it. Another page is only available to people that you select or that have a password. Okay, so let's go back. We click this sample link right there to get back. We're going to go back to the More menu, and our final thing is the Manage Site. Okay, Manage Site is where everything else happens. So anything that you want to do that we didn't already cover. So if it's not editing the page, adding a new page, the page layout, or I'm sorry, the site layout, or the page options, basically. If it's not in there, it's in Manage Site. So when in doubt, go to Manage Site. Okay, so now we have this menu down the left-hand side. Recent site activity. We can go to that lists every time somebody has edited the site. We have pages. This lists all our pages. We can move pages around if we want. We have attachments. This is if you uploaded a lot of files. Okay, you list all the files that have been uploaded here. Page templates. Okay, we won't get into that today, but that's where they'd be at. App script. This is the most interesting area. Is the app script area. This is where you actually would be doing web programming inside the Google Sites, but that we'll cover that later. Deleted items. This is kind of like your trash can. General. This has like just your settings for the site, basically. There are some interesting things here, like for example, the site name, site description. Those are kind of self-explanatory. The landing page, you can actually change if somebody just types in the URL, right? So if somebody types in this sites.google.com/site/class tutorial sample, currently they go to the home page, but I can make that any page as the default landing page, right? Finally, I can copy the site, I can publish the site as a template, I can delete the entire site. Okay, I can now here is an option that's really hidden. Remember that we saw that search box. If you enable the header and that search box is always there, this is where you turn that off. So if I go in and if I click on configure search, I can just turn off the search box for good. And honestly, you know, most sites that are not that complicated don't really need a search box, right? Google Analytics, this is really interesting. If you want to see interesting information, like if you're putting up a site that maybe will be accessed by people all over the world, Google Analytics is really cool. So you can enable that for free. You have to sign up under, it's a different product, Google Analytics. You get an ID, and it'll basically show you all these graphs and charts and where in the world people are accessing your site from, which is pretty cool. Okay, Google Webmaster Tools. So you can go in and you can set up Webmaster Tools for this site. All you really need is your verification tag, which is very easy to get. So the Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools are different Google products. You can find them under this More menu on Google. Okay, and they're really fun to set up if you're interested in that type of thing. If this is a hobby site, if it's for a business, they're really necessary. You would want to set them up immediately. Okay, so mobile, automatically adjust site for mobile phones. I just checked that just to be interesting. You should test it on your phone if you have that available. Most people are accessing the internet now on, not most people, but the trend is toward mobile devices, obviously. So you'd want to make sure that your site looks okay on a mobile device. And then access settings, these are more security options there. Okay, sharing and permissions we already went over. Oh, we want to say, oh, my bad. Okay, so the save button is in an odd place on this page. It's not at the top and bottom of the form. Notice it's not in the scrollable area. It's at the very top. So you want to click save, obviously, before you leave. Sharing and permissions we went over. AdSense is the advertisements you can put on your web page, which is pretty interesting. You know, you can make $1 every month, or you know, if you get a lot of hits, you can make more than that. I wouldn't be too concerned about it for now. The web address. This is an interesting one. The web address, you can actually, you can do a custom domain. You know, domains are only $4 or $5 a year. So if you really, you know, are interested and you do a lot of work on this Google site, it would be kind of fun just to have a custom domain. You know, you can go and find one, buy it, but click learn more because they might have some specifications as to what, you know, where you have to buy your domain from, and it might be from them. Okay, finally, the last one is colors and fonts and themes. Now, this is probably the most interesting area from a design perspective. So you can actually go in on colors and fonts. This is where you can change every last thing. So every last thing on this page, notice the entire option. So under colors and fonts, notice there are like, I mean, how many options are there here, right? So every single one of these options you can change. Okay, if we go down the side, you can change the color and different options. So the title font you can change. I mean, you can change really every last thing. Okay, so this is where you really change the look and feel of your website under colors and fonts. And then finally, theme, you can actually go through and select a different theme if you so choose. Okay, and of course we have this browse more themes, and this is where we went originally. Okay, so I hope that this was a good introduction to Google Sites. And let me just kind of give you a preview of what we'll be seeing in the future. Okay, so let's go back out to the original, where we were originally. Okay, so we're going to go back out to Google Sites. Now, here's one that I made earlier. And when I was talking about where the really interesting stuff is on Google Sites, it's really an app script. So if we go to More and we go to Manage Site, I just want to give you an example of this app script. Okay, so if you click on app script, these are the two app scripts that I used. So this is a good example of an app script. You can actually go in, and it's a full IDE for programming on the internet. So you can go in, they have their own, it's a Google application script. You can go in and really do some pretty interesting things like put in CSS, you can put in custom code, and all that happens through this app script interface that you can get to through Google Sites. Okay, so that was a great, I hope that was a good introduction, and good luck with your Google site.